Hello, my name is Yatsiri Castillo, and today I will talk to you about a truly controversial topic as it involves somewhat sensitive aspects. However, I want to remind you that is my personal point of view and it may not necessarily be correct. Let's begin letter by letter with a big chain by respecting and listening to others. Without further ado, let's start the video.
6 estados de nuestro país han emprendido ya acciones legales, administrativas, para restringir o de plano prohibir la interpretación de narcocorridos y algunos otros espectáculos que hagan apología de la violencia, del delito.
Do you listen to narcocorridos? Yes, I listen to classic narcocorridos like those by Los Tucanos de Tijuana or Los Tigres del Norte, Chalino Sánchez, and my favorites, Los Caitos de Linares, Beto Quintanilla, and El Tigrillo Palma. These songs tell stories about the real Mexico from another perspective, and over time they have become part of culture. Moreover, this type of music represents almost half of the music consumption in the country, according to data from Spotify Mexico, which show its relevance. Do you think they encourage more violence? I don't think they have a great impact because violence doesn't originate from music. Rather, music reflects what is happening in the country. For example, the case of the 43 missing students from Ayotzinapa in 2014 wasn't caused by songs, but by a network of corruption between authorities and organized crime. These events have also been narrated in some corridos, shedding light on uses that many media outlets do not cover in depth. What are the main topics from a narco corrido? What they talk about? Most of them talk about power, betrayal, loyalty, and survival. Some reflects the reality of people who enter crime due to lack of opportunities. Famous cases like of El Chapo Guzman have inspired corridos because they represent public figures in crime, but also because they expose the state's weakness against them. It's not that the music turns them into heroes, it's that the failed system makes them in protagonists. Why do you think narco corridos are very popular in Mexico? Because many people relate to them. In a country where more than 36% live in poverty and even people with university degrees struggle to find jobs, music becomes a way to tell a real story. A clear example is the case of young people who migrate or end up in organized crime due to a lack of real job opportunities, and has happened in Guerrero, where the sons of communities are controlled by criminal groups due to the state's absence. Don't you agree if you listen to a younger brother or sister singing them? It depends. From my point of view, I believe that we each have the choice between listening and acting. However, considering our country context, it's has to see how topics like weapons and drugs are becoming normalized. It's concerning because children are exposed to so much real violence. For example, in some states, children have witnessed shootings or have even been recruited by armed groups. Do you think narco-corridos should be prohibited? No. Instead of any time, the focus should be on the real problems the country faces: corruption, lack of employment, and the limited opportunities even for professionals. We have seen situations where our government shows that the real problems lie within the system, not in the songs. Banning corridos won't stop violence as long as their impunity at high levels. Do you play or sing narcocorridos in family reunions? Yes, sometimes, especially the oldest one, which are my favorites. In fact, it's well known that in many regions, like Sinaloa or Sonora, this music is part of daily life. It's like telling a popular story. What is your feeling when you listen to a child singing narcocorridos? I feel concerned depending of the context. Exposure without understanding can be dangerous. In Mexico, there are places where children no longer dream of becoming doctors, but rather sicarios. has documented in interviews from communities in Tierra Caliente. That's the alarming part. Not that they think, but that they believe this is the only way to achieve success. Do you think narcocorridos are only temporary trend? In a few years, nobody will listen to them? No, they have deep roots. Corridos have existed for every century has a way to narrate the social and political events. For example, during the Mexican Revolution, corridos about Pancho Villa and Emiliano Zapata were sung. Today, they have simply adapted to the new protagonists to the current conflict. Do you have narcocorridos in your playlist? If so, what are these? Yes, as I mentioned earlier, I listen to Los Tucanos de Tijuana, Los Tigres del Norte, Chalino Sánchez, and El Commander. But my favorites are Los Cadetes de Linares, Beto Quintanilla, El Tigrillo Palma, and some more recent corridos, although I mostly prefer the older one. Have you sung a narcocorridos in karaoke? Would you do it? Yes, I have sung some because I like them, not because I admire violence, but because they are also part of country musical history. It's like singing a novel or chronicle.
Leslie, for my point of view, I wish for a Mexico free of violence and for your society to understand that the problems goes far beyond a musical genre, as the real concern lies in the lack of opportunities, justice, and equality.